Hi, everybody. It's Deanna Fenton. I am happy to be with you here today and glad to welcome you to Simple Steps to Online Success. This is my weekly Facebook Live broadcast where we talk about all things online entrepreneurs, the latest tech tools, and hopefully soon to be some screen sharing using the BeLive platform. Although I'm going to do a special edition of this show in the next couple days, early next week probably, where we're going to test yet another tool. And I'm going to be able to experiment a little bit with actually doing a multi-streaming Facebook and to my YouTube channel, as well as a webinar. So stay tuned and stay in touch, and I'll keep you updated on all of that great stuff. But today, if you know somebody who is a little confused or concerned about getting their online business up and running and needs a little help, invite them to join the show. It's every Thursday at 12 noon Pacific time. And it is on my page, and if you search for Deanna Fenton and the Facebook page, you'll come up with it. I am just checking to see if we are live yet on the Facebook page. I see it now. So we're in good shape. Because I am on the awesome BeLive platform, if you want to make comments, I can pop your comments onto the screen as well. So please go ahead and feel free to ask questions as we go along. I do have a specific topic to talk about today, something that I'm interested in. I'm also testing, you know me, I love to test my stuff, testing what is called the talk show format with BeLive. And I believe I've gone over that before, and I also played with it a little bit, where one, I can invite those of you watching onto the program. I can have up to 3 people on screen at the same time. I had asked one of my group people if they wanted to participate, and everybody was sort of like, well, I don't know, I haven't set up my webcam or my microphone, so kind of have some hesitancy there. But if you have something to share when I introduce today's topic, I'm happy to have you join me. Also going to be using kind of the poor man's screen sharing on this. I do have the option of adding in some photos from an album on my Facebook page or my personal profile, so we can kind of play with that again. So again, share this if you have people that are looking for information about business, starting a business, because today I think it's extremely valuable for anybody in business. It doesn't matter if you have an online business or not, if you've started a business or you're thinking of starting a business. I do want to share something that I was introduced to just over the weekend by my husband. So it's funny because I am going to write a blog post about this, and I'll just give you a quick summary. My husband is retired. He reads a lot. He either is on Amazon ordering books, or he's down at the local library picking up books. And he happened to pick up this book. He likes biographies. Picked up a book called Ray and Joan, the man who started McDonald's and the woman who gave it all away. And it was a story about Ray Kroc, who there is some question as to whether or not he should be referred to as the founder of McDonald's, and his third wife, Joan Kroc. I am reading the book right now because then from that, my husband, who also loves to watch TV and movies, asked me if I wanted to watch The Founder. And The Founder is the movie, it came out late in 2016, that is about Ray Kroc and how he started McDonald's. So it's interesting because, I'm just going to pop this picture in here right now. My husband typically isn't really into business topics. And to me, And I know this movie actually did not do well in the theaters. And I'm not surprised, honestly, because it doesn't seem like a topic that would have been a huge draw in this day of Guardians of the Galaxy and Star Wars, right? But we watched this at home, and it was on demand, and Michael Keaton plays Ray Kroc. And for me, I was just going crazy as I watched this. I'm sure I was driving Bob crazy with all my comments, because to me, this was almost like an MBA class on entrepreneurism. There were so many nuggets of wisdom in the whole story. Now, right or wrong, if you know the story or you've seen the movie, you know that Ray Kroc basically screwed the McDonald's brothers out of their business. However, the McDonald brothers kind of contributed to it. So I'm not going to, if you haven't seen the movie, I really do recommend it. It shows just the real difficult relationship between Kroc and the McDonald brothers, but both brought such a tremendous value to what is now McDonald's Corporation. And these are just some of the lessons I want to share with you. And again, if you want to jump in and you have things that you want to share about it or about the things I'm talking about, please do feel free. I'm actually going to post right now in the comments a little link. So if you are interested, you can use this link, and I will, hopefully everything will work good, and I will see that you come in as a guest in the lobby. So let's talk a little bit about some of these lessons. And the first one I want to share is know what business you're really in. And this is funny. I'm not actually going sequentially in the lessons. It's just I wanted to highlight some of the key ones for me. And this one really hit home because too often we go into a business and we have an idea and a concept of what it is that we want to offer. And it's really defining what is it that the business is meant to do and meant to deliver. So the example from the movie is that initially Ray Kroc convinced the McDonald brothers to hire him as their franchise partner to go out and sign up new franchisees for McDonald's restaurants. To do that, they had an ironclad contract with him that minimized his commission. I mean, he got a commission, but it was an extremely small commission, a small percentage, let's put it that way. So as he went out and he was very successful, initially he signed up people that really were not a good fit as franchisees. He then learned his lesson. He quickly started signing up young couples primarily because he felt having people that were really hungry to be successful in a business. There was a husband and wife where both were going to participate in the business and support one another. They would follow his system. So he started getting very successful in signing up franchisees. The franchisees were doing very well, but Ray wasn't making that much money. And he was struggling, and he had put in everything. He had mortgaged his home without his wife's knowledge. He had done everything and invested everything, put everything on the line to make this a successful venture, and he wasn't making any money. He happened to run into a gentleman named Henry at the bank when he was going in to try and plead his case again to the bank and get more money, where Henry, who later joined McDonald's, told him, he said, "You're not in the hamburger business. You need to be in the real estate business." So where Ray had been focused on making McDonald's successful one hamburger at a time, he couldn't make money doing that. So with Henry's help, he learned he needed to go out and buy real estate, then lease the real estate to the franchisees, and he would be making money from the real estate instead of the tiny percentage off of the sales of the franchisees. So without giving that whole section of the movie away, I mean, the McDonald brothers were really incensed over that, but Ray, one, pivoted his business. He was able to realize, I don't want to be in the hamburger business because financially that doesn't work for me. If I'm in the real estate business, then I can grow and I can become financially stable and I can make a living. So think about what business you are and the business that you're in, and take it to another level and look at it a different way. As far as I recently was listening to a really great program. I'll give a plug to my good friend Kim Doyle, the WordPress chick. She did an amazing podcast episode where she interviewed a gentleman who's written a book on SEO, and he was talking about web developers and how web developers go out and they focus on building websites, and they run into competition with lower price offerings. You could be a WordPress developer and trying to sell a website, and you're competing against Squarespace, or you're competing against other web developers that are willing to undercut you and sell a website for $500 or $1,000. Where if you figure and you pivot your business and you focus on being a trusted marketing partner with your customers, you're not selling a website, you are selling a consulting services that a website is part of that to help them grow their business and show them a return on their investment. So regardless of the business that you're in, think about how you can pivot that. And what you're offering is not another wannabe or another similar product where you can position it into making it more financially successful for you and provide greater value for your customers. So that was one of them. And that I thought was an awesome point. And again, as you are watching, even with the replay, because I know a lot of you watch this afterwards, you get to catch it on the replay, put a comment below. I would love to hear your comments about the movie and the thoughts that I'm putting out here in terms of the business ideas. So the other one that I really focused on was when we were talking about your customers, you want to give them what they need wrapped in what they want. So let me explain. This one was really the genius of the McDonald brothers, because at the time this movie is taking place, and you can see here, we're talking in the early to mid 50s, the idea of drive-throughs, drive-ins, were ways that people could come in and their intention was to get food fast. Well, however, the way that the drive-ins were set up, they used car hops. So these girls would be on roller skates or running, and they'd have to run to the cars, take the orders, go back to the kitchen, give the order to the cooks, try and deliver the food. So the concept of fast food didn't exist because it would take 30 minutes to get a meal delivered to your car. And then the restaurants themselves were expending a lot of effort and cost because they were serving food on dishes, and the car hops would have to carry dishes on these trays to people. And it also was gathering an element of people that were hanging around the parking lots. And it just, for the McDonald brothers, it wasn't the concept that they wanted to provide. They wanted to target families. So the families needed to get fast, good, consistent food, but they wanted it fast. And what they came up with was the idea of, one, the assembly line, which we're going to talk about, which systematized how they prepared and delivered the food, but they also had to get people to walk up to the counter to place their order, because people were used to driving up with their car and sitting there honking the horn, and the car hop would come out to them. So what they needed for them to, one, keep the prices very low, because originally when it started out, the hamburgers were 15 cents, the drinks were a dime, and the French fries were a dime. So like for 50 cents or less, they were getting a meal. So they wanted to give them that cost-effective time, quick delivery of the food, and give them really what they needed, which was the time. So this strategy, I love this strategy because Marie Forleo also talks about this strategy, and she calls it the Trojan horse strategy, which is our potential customers have a need. So, for example, and I'm only using web developers as an example because that's kind of what I do, but you can apply this for your business as well. People want a website. That's not what they need. What they need is a lead generation system. So this is where I'm saying you need to kind of start looking at it from a different perspective. When you are selling a service or a product, what is it that your ideal customer really, really needs, and how can you position it to actually give them what they need? So if you were a web developer, if you were selling a website, you want to actually bundle that and package it as a lead generation system, because nobody needs just a website. Because all you're doing is creating a brochure site that isn't going to drive traffic. You're not going to be able to drive traffic to it. If you drive traffic to it, you need to convert them into an actual prospect. So I loved this concept. And this was, like I said, directly from the McDonald's brothers, where they were talking about being able to position what you're offering. Now, another lesson that I learned that I think is really, really key, and all of us can do this, is looking outside your industry. Because there's so many of us that are if we're in the online business, you see everybody is out there with coaching programs, with membership sites, with these types of online products that are being sold. But what if you looked at a different model that's outside of your industry to try and put a different twist on what you're offering? So in this example, from the movie, the McDonald's brothers realized that one of their goals in trying to convert their business is they had to deliver the food quickly. And the processes that they were using that were traditional at that time in food service just weren't fast enough. So they looked at and modeled Henry Ford's assembly line structure for building a car. So they looked at how can we systematize our business to reduce the time, reduce the waste, and become more efficient. So they looked outside to model this. And there's fabulous, fabulous scene in the movie, which, according to my husband who read this other book, it's like 100% accurate. They actually went out to a tennis court and drew a chalk model of their kitchen and had their employees come out and go through pantomiming the process where they could figure out how can we create our own assembly line to improve the efficiency and reduce the time it's going to take to deliver a meal to our customers. So think about what can you look at. So one of the ideas, and this is not a new idea at this point, but in the membership site world, one of the models now is to imitate Netflix, where instead of opening up a membership site where you have a ton of new content and people get in there and they are immediately overwhelmed, you release small bits of content a la Netflix. And people who are a subscriber have the access to this new content because they are a subscriber. And that way you kind of control the flow of information and people have something to anticipate and look forward to, obviously. So think about in your business and what you're attempting to provide to your ideal client, how can you take something that another industry is doing and put that twist? Just to give you another example, one of the things I've also seen is being able to model a subscription program where people actually get a surprise box kind of thing every month. If you think about some of the models, they exist in the cosmetic industry. They exist in, what is it, Harry's Shaving Company or something like that, that every month you get a box with razors and that type of thing. How can you take what you're doing and package it in a unique way to deliver to your ideal customers? So moving on, and again, even if you're watching the replay and you have comments, I would love to, I'm going to come back and read every one of your comments. So I'd love to hear from you. So here's another one. Again, it's kind of playing on this. Our previous topic was don't just imitate what others are doing, improve on it. So once again, that's what the McDonald brothers did with their concept of their restaurants. They weren't trying to imitate all the drive-ins that were out there in the 50s. They were trying to improve on that experience. And because they knew who their customer was or who they wanted their customers to be, they wanted to improve the experience because they were targeting families. So part of the concern or the issue with drive-throughs or drive-ins was they were drawing more of an unseemly element. People, teenagers and hoodlums were hanging around in the parking lots, and families didn't feel comfortable to go to the drive-in restaurants. So again, the McDonald brothers concept was eliminate the loitering by having people come to the counter. They had to get their food, and they would tend to eat their food and throw away the paper wrappers and go on their way. So similar, we're talking about it. Don't just start a course that is focusing on teaching a particular concept or a coaching program. How can you improve on it? And that, again, looking outside of your industry to come up with ideas on how you could do that. So my other favorite is knowing how to pivot to make the business work. So one of the things that the story tells is that the McDonald brothers actually had started a movie theater. And the movie theater was started back around the Depression. And as soon as they started the movie theater and the Great Depression hit, nobody was going to the movies. They didn't have any money. So they had to close it and decided to kind of regroup. They had to figure out how to make the business, make a business that would work. So they came up with the idea, of course, getting into the food industry because everybody still had to eat, right? So they created their first restaurant. And in their first restaurant, they started out with barbecue, which is funny when you think about McDonald's today, right? So they started out with barbecue, and they had a huge menu of items. And they'd had hamburgers too, but hamburgers were just one of the many, many, many offerings. But quickly they realized, one, they were spending a lot of money on food. Two, they were losing a lot of money on food because obviously food is perishable. And if they weren't selling enough of a particular product item, they could very easily waste that product. So they decided to really look at what were the top selling items. So think about this in your business. They used the 80-20 rule, and they found that 80% of their sales were coming from hamburgers, French fries, and drinks. So they quickly decided to pivot their business and minimize their product offerings to just hamburgers, French fries, and drinks. And, soft drinks and milkshakes, which is, one of the big the beverage item that actually brought Ray Kroc to them. So how can you pivot your business? So look at 80%, at the 20% of the items bringing 80% of your sales. I'm going to make sure I had said that right earlier, right? 80-20 rule. So look at the 20% of what you're doing that is bringing you the majority of your revenue or your profit, and get rid of the rest. Systematizing your business, which is what they did when they modeled the Henry Ford's, the Ford assembly line, can help you provide greater service to your customers, help them achieve their goals much faster, and help you increase your profits and be able to grow your business even more. And that, I think, is also one of the things where, again, they focused on being able to target who they felt they could best serve. And they did everything in their power to model the business to provide that to their ideal customers. So I'd love to know what you think of the movie. If you watch the movie, it's on demand. We happen to be in California and watch it on Comcast. I'm sure it's probably out on DVD if you do that. I don't, these days it's hard for me to keep up how people watch movies, because you'll read in the blog post that I'm not a huge TV person, so I don't always watch movies. And I only watch movies when my husband says, hey, you want to watch this? I was so grateful to him for sharing this with me, because, like I said, I got so much value out of understanding these different lessons and really thinking about it. I am going to be expanding more on these in a blog post. There's actually more, if you could believe it. I really had more, like 10 different lessons. There's a couple more that I'd love to share with you. So you could always visit me at deannafenton.com. And you can also, so let's just pop that up here on the screen real fast. Okay, so deannafenton.com, and you can go ahead and watch for that blog post. And I also wanted to invite you and anybody else that you may know of to join what I'm calling the Reinvention Revolution. So one of my favorite things to do is work with entrepreneurs or want to be entrepreneurs that are over the age of 50. So if we think about it today, let's just be real. I'm 58. I feel like I'm going to keep working for a long time, mostly because I want to. But there are also those who want to, and there are a lot that have to. So I'm looking at this time of our life, why can't we be in a position to be able to, oh, hi. Hi, Corinda. Oh, I hope I said your name correctly. Hi. Welcome to Be Live. Yeah, well, I've been using Be Live actually, gosh, about 4 to 6 months, I guess. And you shared that. Thank you so much. I appreciate that very much. So what I was talking about as far as the Reinvention Revolution and the idea of the over 50 entrepreneur, and I have to be real honest with you, I'm not even limiting it to entrepreneurs. I am looking at people who are actually interested in making a perhaps radical transformation in their lives. And that could be you retiring and you want to start a nonprofit. Maybe you've had a business. This is another area. Dr. Jewish, I would love to hear about what you do. That would be awesome. I'd love to hear that and see if we can't get together. That'd be great. I'm definitely interested in working more with the talk show format. And actually, I'm kind of coming up to that too, that we could talk about. So the Reinvention Revolution is really focused on people that are looking to reinvent themselves over 50, or people that have a message to share. And that could be a story, a product, or a service for the reinvention revolution. So this is, let me share this with you real fast. This is my group that is here on Facebook. And I just posted the link in the comments. And that is focused on